So Guns N' Roses is one of my absolute favorite bands of all time. I think that's pretty obvious. I love rock music. I more specifically love grunge, but if there's any rock band out there that isn't grunge, that is my favorite, it has to be Guns N' Roses by a long shot. I've loved them all my life, ever since my dad had been playing them when I was younger. I still hear them daily playing. I mean, if I'm in the car with my dad, I'll probably hear it, or if it's on the radio, I'll play it if I'm with whoever, really. Maybe in the past 6 months is when I've really gotten into them. I really love a ton of their things. Sure, it's gone a little downhill in the end, but today I'm gonna stop and rank every single Guns N' Roses album. That's all 6 of them, from my least favorite to my favorite, although a bunch of them are great, some of them, but I'll talk about them now. Let's get into it. Easily coming in last place is The Spaghetti Incident, released in 1993, and okay, going into it, I was like, I know it's not that good, and it wasn't as bad as I thought. I actually don't think it's a bad album. It's just okay. It pushes that line. It still gets a positive rating. A 3 out of 5, I think, is pretty good. I mean, it could have easily gotten worse, but that's just because it does have a bunch of actually pretty good songs on here. I like Since I Don't Have You, Hair of the Dog, Black Leather, and Ain't It Fun. I think they're all pretty good, and there are a few others, but I've really only listened to this album once, and I don't expect to listen to it. Definitely not all the way through again. I know it's a bunch of covers, but that's okay. You know, it's worth a listen if you are a GNR fan, just to see what you think. I know a lot of people like it more than me, but a lot of people also hate this album. It's just alright, but easily in last place. Coming in at number 5, we have Chinese Democracy, which, yes, is more Axl and Friends. A lot of people reference it as that because it isn't really the band, but it does have Axl, so they still called it Guns N' Roses. I do think this is quite a solid step up from Spaghetti Incident. Obviously, I mean, this was 15 years later in 2008 when it was released, and you can hear hints of what Axl sounds like now if you watch their concert videos. It's different for the most part. It's still okay though. There are actually a bunch of really good songs here. Chinese Democracy, Street of Dreams, This I Love, Prostitute, IRS, Sorry. There's a bunch that are pretty good. I'd say like half of them I think are really solid. There's just kind of a section of this album, I think from about maybe 5 to 10, it just kind of goes off a bit. And some of the songs, you know, like Madagascar is one of the most famous songs from here. I think it's pretty good. The ending really saves it, but there are a few songs that feel pretty throwaway. That's why this album isn't as great as the other ones. Now, this is a major step up, by the way. Maybe it's only half star when I rate it, but trust me, a major step up here. Coming in at number 4, we have Use Your Illusion 1, and I know that might be an unpopular opinion. There might be one on here that is higher than most people's, but Use Your Illusion 1 is actually a really great album. It has some of my favorite songs of all time with November Rain, Don't Cry. It has an amazing album opener with Right Next Door to Hell. Dust and Bones is great. Live and Let Die. There's so many here. Coma is a great album closer, much better than the closer of the second Use Your Illusion, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I do think that this one also goes off the rails just a little bit in that whole middle section. Some of the songs, maybe like You Ain't the First, is quite out of place, but overall, a lot of the songs are quite fantastic. Some of it is some of GNR's best work, and that album cover is just gorgeous. Coming in at number 3, we have Use Your Illusion 2, and I know a lot of people put this at either 2 or 1. I know a lot of people love this album, and I do too. I think Use Your Illusion is also a step up from Use Your Illusion 1. I think that it's more consistent. I did a video yesterday comparing them if you'd like to check that out. I'll link it down below, as well as my other GNR videos, because I ranked all the albums except for Spaghetti Incident and Chinese Democracy. But I mean, just looking at the track list here, we have a ton of fantastic songs. Knocking on Heaven's Door, You Could Be Mine, Estranged, 14 Years, and of course my favorite, Civil War. That's spoiler for my ranking, but Civil War is just flawless, one of the greatest songs ever. This album may have a few duds in it, and I mean, My World is a laughable ending, especially coming after Estranged and You Could Be Mine, but overall, it really is phenomenal. Coming in at number 2 is probably my most controversial pick. I know a lot of people will hate me for this. That is GNR Lies, and this is an album that I love. If they removed One in a Million from it, which is a song I'm not that big of a fan of, but no one really is, then it would be a perfect album. We have 4 songs off their Live Like a Suicide album, or EP, I think, whatever it's called, and then we have the 4 acoustic songs, those being Patience, Used to Love Her, You're Crazy, the acoustic version, and One in a Million. Patience, if you didn't already check out my video, Patience is my favorite Guns N' Roses song. I think that overall this is such a consistent album because every single song up until One in a Million is great. We have some amazing live covers that are really exciting, and then we have just the 3 back-to-back incredible acoustic songs, which I mentioned, Patience, Used to Love Her, and then You're Crazy, and I actually do prefer this version of You're Crazy. GNR Lies is honestly an album that just grows on me more and more over time. I know a lot of people will have it under the Use Your Illusion albums. They typically have it over Chinese Democracy and Spaghetti Incident because not everyone loves those albums. I don't love them, so they're okay. Chinese Democracy is definitely better than Spaghetti Incident, but I already talked about those. GNR Lies, though, not only has one of the most interesting album covers of all time, it really is a great album that in some ways is a little underappreciated. But easily coming in first place is Appetite for Destruction. That's the CD back there. I know you can't really tell. I don't really know what happened with the actual case of it. There's some stuff where we let someone borrow it, but this is the disc. You can't really tell, but it is the disc. It was my favorite album of all time for quite a bit. It comes in at number 3 now. I honestly think it is a perfect album. Every single song in there is great, and obviously we have some of the greatest rock songs of all time. Welcome to the Jungle, Sweet Child of Mine, Mr. Brownstone, Paradise City, My Michelle. Like, there's so many. Every single song on there is great, and some of them are some of the best of all time, as I mentioned. There's a reason why Appetite for Destruction is one of the most iconic albums out there. I mean, the album cover, sadly I can't show you like that, is one of my favorites ever too. I think that Guns N' Roses' debut album is not only their best, but I think it's one of the best rock albums ever, and one of the best albums in general. But tell me your ranking of their albums down below. Do you like some of the lesser ones more than me? Do you think I'm absolutely crazy for putting GNR Lies over the Use Your Illusion albums? Again, it's just my personal ranking. This is just how I feel. I really do love the top 4 albums. The other 2 are okay to like goodish. They just don't even touch the top 4 here. Guns N' Roses is one of my favorite bands of all time. Tell me your favorite songs by them. Tell me your ranking. Tell me all that. Whatever you want to say about the band, unless you're going to hate on people, especially Axl Rose. I don't need to hear that, okay? Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Over and out.